Welcome down to the grid for the start of the Sanwa Trophy Mini Endurance. We've got a grid of over 20 fantastic pre-66 minis ready to start this race. We've got ex-Formula One drivers, we've got a touring car driver, a British GT driver, and great conditions. Everything we need for a fantastic race. Let's go racing.
Thanks, Charlie. This is the Sanwa Trophy Endurance for the pre-66 minis, and it's Nick Padmore who starts in pole position. Alongside him is going to be Phil Anning, then it's Adrian Barwick and Bill Solis on row 2. No Justin Cooper or Martin Donnelly, sadly, the inside of row 3. A little bit of a creep from Phil Anning, but he stops it just in time. As away we go, 40 minutes of action ahead of us around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. It's Nick Padmore who gets away and is going to lead into Paddock Hill Bend, with Adrian Barwick looking to try and sneak through in second. He can't quite do it. Phil Anning then downhill, just clear of David Usher, and Bill Solis alongside him in the other white Mini. Usher, the all-white car, Solis, the white car with the dark roof, as the field cleanly negotiate the opening couple of turns and head down out of Druids on towards Graham Hill Bend. The Sanwa Trophy Endurance has become something of a fixture in the Brands Hatch Mini Festival over recent seasons. Lower down the field, they're all looking to gain ground. The Stella Shriver car looking to progress earlier on, just clear of the O'Connor and Downing entry. Many of the cars in this race are two-driver concerns as the field swoop through Clark Curve onto Brown Straight on towards the end of the first lap, and ready trying to pull away is Nick Padmore, who's being kept very honest at the moment by Phil Anning, who is staying in tow just behind him. Then a little bit of a gap back to Adrian Barwick. Bill Solis, a former star of Mini 7 Mini Amelia Racing, is there in 4th place. In 5th we've got David Usher. In these early stages, all going to be about working together, not pushing the cars too hard, but trying to build a little bit of a buffer over your rivals, because these cars slipstream so easily. It's very unlikely we're going to see anybody making a particularly decisive break until the very, very late stages of the race, as through clearways they come along the Brabham Straight. A little bit of a gap in the traffic to the next couple of cars. It's Greg Crutcher, the bright yellow car. He has slipped down into 7th position. Also progressing very, very strongly from the tail of the field. That's Jonathan Lewis in car number 1. Going past the Greg Churchill Peter Baldwin car, which we'd expect to be extremely competitive. Is the car of Michael Skeller, and into the gravel track we've got somebody in a little bit of trouble. Now, who that was we couldn't quite see, because all we saw was a sky blue Mini bouncing through the gravel. It's not the Skeller car, because that continues on its way. If that can't tick off has been beached, then I fear that we may see the intrusion of a safety car, because that will not recover itself in a moment. Meanwhile, Bill Solis darts to the inside of Phil Anning, and wherever you look through the field there are some great battles underway, and that's the beauty of these 366 minis. They really were perfectly timed for racing. There is Solis. He has sealed the deal on Phil Anning. They have got David Usher just behind them. All of this is allowing Nick Padmore actually now to begin to ease away at the front of the field, or he was, but the safety car has been scrambled. So out comes the safety car. The race is brought under control. Solis pokes an arm out of the window just to acknowledge that he has seen the safety car boards and is backing the field up. So there'll be some rapid retrieval undertaken by the Brands Hatch marshals. That completed, the lights are out on the safety car. We go racing once more. Is Nick Padmore, who's going to try and pace the field away, but this time he has got Bill Solis snapping right at his heels, and already Solis getting into the slipstream behind Padmore. Then we get back to Phil Anning. He has got David Usher, and then Adrian Barwick just behind him. As Solis challenges Padmore through Paddock Hill Bend. Oh, they almost make contact, both of them snapping sideways, and somehow they have retained their wing mirrors. That looked very unlikely for a couple of moments, as Bill Solis snatches the lead of the race away from Nick Padmore as they run downhill, swing through Graham Hill Bend and along the Cooper Straight. A little bit of pushing along from Nick Padmore. He'll probably be content to work with Bill Solis at the moment if it is going to give them a degree of daylight over Phil Anning and the rest of them in third position. Solis, who's always been something of a mini specialist throughout his career. We have seen him in all manner of historic motorsport and contemporary racing and radicals as well. Very, very talented driver is Nick. Just shaking off Dave Dushan ready. The field begins to split a little bit. There is Gregor Furcher. He has got William Ward in the sky blue. Car just tucked in behind as Solis defends from Padmore as a pair of them run nose to tail. Uphill with Hill, round Druids and then down into Graham Hill Bend. Padmore just snatches a break. Car slips sideways. Solis again defending along the Cooper Straight. He's determined not to allow Nick Padmore past. I think Padmore feels that he's maybe got a little bit of pace underneath him, and if he could get past Solis, he might just be able to build a little bit of a gap. But at the moment, that chink in daylight is not forthcoming, and it's Solis who continues at the front of the field in this Sanwa Trophy Mini Endurance. It's a 40-minute race, of course. We are still in the relatively early stages as they both trail on the brakes into Paddock Hill Bend. Solis braking his latest and dares. Nick Padmore being equally bold, climbing uphill into hairpin Druids. A pair of them are still not completely into clear daylight ahead of Phil Anning in third place. Anning has got a very rapid Brett Yellis to pass over to at mid-race distance. So again, along the Cooper Straight, and Nick Padmore draws alongside Solis. Then it's Anning and Usher next long, and Padmore's now got the opening. He finds the way through to the inside at Clearways, eases past Bill Solis. It's Padmore who reclaims the advantage at the front of the field as the pair of them run down out of Clearways through Clark Curve and along the Bramham Straight. Solis though draws back alongside Padmore almost immediately. The pair of them get on the brakes at Paddock Hill Bend. Padmore leaves it desperately late. So does Bill Solis. Can Nick Padmore claim the apex? Doesn't look like it. And Solis has got the opportunity now, climbing up Hailwood Hill towards Druids. Solis to the inside. Padmore slotting back in to second place as they run downhill out of the hairpin on towards Graham Hill Bend. Many miles away from the pit window opening as now as the two leaders really battle. We'll just give Solis a little bit of a tap along the Cooper Straight. It brings Phil Anning and David Usher into the mix, and what was a very clear-cut two-car fight for the lead has now become a four-car train. Just a little bit slithery sideways for Bill Solis. He has got Padmore filling his mirrors. Padmore in turn has now got Phil Anning filling his mirrors. Then it's David Usher next along. Break for Paddock Hill Bend. Areas sliding on the skinny tyres, but somehow the traction always keeps itself in favour of these minis. One of the cars further back down the field just taking a little bit of a trip through the gravel track at Paddock Hill Bend, but it doesn't cause any particularly undue issues. Race leaders turn through Graham Hill Bend, sprinting along the Cooper Straight. And as Solis and Padmore work together once more, immediately they pull a couple of car lengths out over the car of Phil Anning. Turning through Clearways and into the pit lane comes Nick Padmore. So Padmore ducks into the pits very early in proceedings. Clearly he feels that the car is losing plenty of time, bottled up behind Bill Solis, so he brings himself out of that train of cars down through Paddock Hill Bend. We are midway through the Sanwa Trophy Mini Endurance. Heading out of the pit lane is Bradley Ellis at the wheel of the number 76 car, but he was just taken over from Phil Anning. Ellis should fly. The word from the pit lane as well is that Nick Padmore has decided not to hand his car over and is going to be completing the whole race on his own. Meanwhile, those a little bit lower down the order also taking the opportunity to get their pit stops in. Paul Carter takes over at wheel of number 26. There is Jonathan Lewis in car 1, and Lewis from the back of the field is just clear of Mark Burnett, or was. Now Lewis rolls into the pit lane. That looks a little bit slower than I would expect to see for Jonathan Lewis. I wonder whether or not Lewis may possibly have run into a spot of bother. If so, that would be a great pity. So the pit stops all working themselves through the field a little bit spring at the moment as Lewis rolls down the pit lane, and that is looking very unfortunate. Also caught a glimpse in the background of Matt Jackson jumping into the 13 car. And smoke pours forth from Jonathan Lewis's car, and that, I fear, is game over for Jonathan Lewis. Great shame. The rest of the field continuing on their way. There is Mike Wilds at the wheel of the number 10 car that he's taken over from Adrian Barwick, and Mike can always be relied upon, if nothing else, for some absolutely spectacular driving. It's one of the real beauties of the Sandwell Trophy Mini Endurance is that we get to see drivers that really as many we don't normally see in the competition, and that can always add to the fun. Into the pits as well comes Dave Mountain. Mountain, another driver you can always rely upon to go very quickly in Mini. So the Curly and Usher pit stop is concluded as Gregor Frötscher continues. Frötscher fading a little bit from good progress early on. Front of the field, for my money, is still Nick Padmore, who is out front. Lower down the order, there are plenty of pulls to resolve themselves. Dave Mountain, having been in the pits a moment ago, back out and on his way. And Mountain, one of those drivers we could expect to see, I think, picking his way up through the order as we head towards the stage of the race. Right now, here is Padmore picking his way through a little bit of traffic. This is past Carter. It's got Mark Burnett actually tucked up behind him. Burnett, though, turning very tightly through Graham Hill Bend. The car porpoising sideways a little bit and rolling to a slightly exit from Graham Hill Bend. This is a slightly difficult phase of the race on the drivers, because most mini racing you'll see the cars running in very close contention with each other, whereas in the Enduro, possibly racing the clock just a little bit as well. Into the pit lane comes the number 61 entry as Curly David Usher car rolls on. It's William Ward just clear, and then we've also got the car that showed very strongly earlier on, Nick Paddy having taken over from Bill Solis at the back of the queue. Solis having raced that car right up to the front of the field. Nick Paddy, there he is with a little bit more work to do, but you could see the tail of the Solis Paddy car had the yellow stick with the black cross. That means, or rather it denotes, a novice driver, and so Nick Paddy taking his formative steps in motorsport in a absolutely legendary car here at Brands Hatch. There is Paddy now turning through Surtees on towards Clearways and Clark Curve. Front just sliding a little bit as Paddy looks to wind up the pace coming out of Clark Curve along the Bradford Straight. We are beginning to get as well deep into this race. This is where each and every time they go past the lap counter, they'll see how much time is remaining and know just how hard they can push. And up Harewood Hill in towards Druids. So just behind that is Jackson at the wheel of the 13 car. Jackson, better known for his exploits in the British Touring Car Championship, taken over from Jason Brooks mid-race. Jackson looking to scythe his way through the field. Of course, the Grand Sanchinti circuit, the scene of some of Jackson's greatest touring car triumphs, as he jinks to the inside, gets the car squared off, doesn't run too sideways there, does Matt Jackson. And it is then Curly David Usher, the next target, as they run along the Bradham Straight. How late is Jackson going to be on the brakes? Which side does he go? He finds space to the inside of Matt Jackson, jinks through to the inside, gains the position. Meanwhile, Gregor Frötscher coming under just a little bit of pressure as we move into the last stage of the race. Nick Padmore it is who leads the way. Bradley Ellis it is who has come up into second place, and Mike Wild, and taking over from Adrian Barwick, is also making fantastic progress. He is currently in a fairly secure third place. Gregor Frötscher consults his mirrors, moves across and defends, but only just. Two of them running through Druids and gaining the place. Very nicely done, but Frötscher looks to fight back as they run downhill into Graham Hill Bend. And that's a lovely shot. Gregor Frötscher leading his helmet almost John Lacey style through Graham Hill Bend, but I think it's going to cost him the place, unfortunately. He gets demoted. Now, whether or not he'll be able to fight back, we will find out in due course. Frötscher just gets it a little bit sideways through Clark Curve onto the Bradham Straight. Rapidly running out of laps here. Yes, there you see, just a couple of laps remaining. Then, meanwhile, here is Nick Padmore, and this has been a perfectly controlled race from Padmore. That early excellent scrapping with Bill Solis has now played itself out into a very, very comfortable lead late on. He accelerates out of Clark Curve along the Bradham Straight. Now, across the line for Nick Padmore, down into Paddock Hill Bend. Just picks up the throttle, climbing Halewood Hill. Doesn't want to get too involved in the traffic around him at the same time. Doesn't really want to have to back out of the concentration at all either. So he puts a lap on the number 99 car before swooping through Graham Hill Bend. And then along the Cooper Straight, just easing up through the gears, flicking into Surtees. On towards Clearways, what I suspect is going to be the final time of asking. Just a little bit of a slide on the apex, but these minis really, they look at their very, very best when going sideways, as now Nick Padmore accelerates along the Bradham Straight. Now, is the checker flag going to be out this time? Indeed it is, and victory in the Sanwa Trophy Mini Endurance to Nick Padmore. Still a couple of fights left to resolve themselves for Nick Padmore. An absolutely perfect performance. Let's take a look then at the classification. Victory for Padmore, second place for Bradley Ellis and Phil Anning, and third to Adrian Barwick and Mike Wilds. Next, the drive from Matt Jackson to bring himself up into fourth place.